back. In today's fast-paced digital world, we often find ourselves drowning in a sea of screens, notifications, and constant connectivity. Joining us again is Dr. Justin Cohen as he breaks down what a digital detox is and shares some tips on how to do it. Digital detoxing, do you think we're doing that enough?
Well, clearly we need to. Because some research shows that people actually feel worse about themselves after scrolling to social media. So it's one of these things that's really addictive, and it's built to be that way. We call it the bottomless bowl, right? So that's where they create it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, Z, that the only other industry that refers to their clients as users are drug pushers. Okay?
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So we are the users. And
yes.
Listen, there's a lot of good stuff there as well, but it is built to be addictive.
Yes.
And it's built to be addictive because that's how they make money. That's how they sell advertising, right? It's connected to us staying glued, yeah? And that means the phone, we can become slaves to our phones rather than our phones becoming slaves to us.
Yes.
And really, Z, it operates in the brain very similar to the slot machine or even a hit of cocaine. It triggers a neurotransmitter in the brain, a chemical in the brain called dopamine.
Yes.
So when you're looking for, how many likes did I get, shares, comments, you get this little hit, right?
Yes.
And it feels good, but then what happens? You need more.
Yes.
And then you don't get it. And then you feel bad about yourself because you think, there's something wrong that you didn't get it. Meantime, what is it really anyway? I'm not saying this can't be a great way to stay in touch with real friends and family, but one thing I want to start off in terms of detoxing, rather search than scroll. Right? When you're on the scroll, you are the slave, right? When you're searching, you're in control, you're deciding.
I love that.
Yeah?
Become the searcher, not the scroller.
Exactly.
And I have to say personally, and I feel quite bad about this, but I have these little shame sessions that I have with myself because I'll go down a spiral where I'll start scrolling social media and it'll be an hour later, sometimes 2, and then I'll feel so bad that I have wasted time that I can no longer take back.
Absolutely, Z. And I mean, here you are a creator, and yet you find yourself sucked in. And because it is pretty addictive, right? And I want to say to people out there, instead of consumers, let's be creators. Like, are you just consuming, or are you actually creating? And thank you for being honest about that, because I had that as well. And that's why some of the tools that I want to share with you has certainly helped me to limit it.
Please do share with us.
Well, Z, one way is to, say, like what's a dry January, after alcohol in December, I'm not going to drink for a month. And you can do that with social media. My concern with that is it can be quite tough. And then it can create more shame when you don't manage to do it.
Yes.
So there's some little things that we can do. We can have smaller detoxes. For instance, I only look at social media once or sometimes twice a day, and there's specific times that I would do. When I say sometimes, it's usually as a creator when I posted something and I feel it's important to respond. So if you're only going to do it once a day, it can be tough initially, but at least now you're not constantly checking all day long, right?
Yes.
See, the other thing is go for pull rather than push notifications. So I don't get push. I have to go onto these sites to see what's going on, right?
Yes.
If you want to limit it, like any drug, you got to get it out of your face, right? If you're an alcoholic, you don't go into a bar and say, I'm just looking, right? You want to stay away from bars.
Yes.
So how do you stay away from your phone?
Yeah.
You take Instagram and Facebook, if that's what it is, and you put them in a little folder and you put them not on your home screen. I open my phone, and we're opening our phone all the time. Whenever we've got a break, we're in the queue, you're going to open your phone, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to go to what's there. Now, if you've moved it, now you have to be conscious. Now I've got to think, I want to go there. Hold on, actually, is that really good for me? Maybe not.
Okay, so you've got to think about the next page that you need to go to as opposed to it just being there on the home screen.
Exactly. We call this interrupting the pattern. This is how we break habits. Any habits. We've got to put a barrier between us and performing that behavior. And then, Z, critically, we've got to choose who we follow. There is wholesome, nutritious soul food out there. You create a lot of it. But there's also some empty calories. And it's like, the chocolate cake is a lot more enticing than the broccoli pie, although I know you love that broccoli pie. But for most of us, we got to make that choice. So what do you want to do with the chocolate cake? Stop following the chocolate cake. And this is such an important one. Please do not compare your beautiful, flawed, wonderful life to somebody else's photoshopped, images. Understand this is not reality, right? But that stuff your brain is going to want to go to, but are they healthy? We have got to really take charge of what we allow into the sanctity of our minds. You know, see, I'll give you an example about fake news. I mean, this is one of the biggest concerns I have. I mean, fake news, junk news, disinformation. Here's the amazing thing. If you're confronted with some fake news, and by the way, fake news is far more captivating than real news. Conspiracy theories, all that nonsense, right? It's sensational, and that's what the brain loves. The brain loves novelty and difference, and so they create this nonsense, and we go to this because it's a magnet for that novelty-seeking brain. And here's the thing: when you get sucked into that, even when you know, so let's say this is fake, and you go, oh, okay, I get it. Research shows that weeks later, if you asked about it again, 60% of people actually say it's true. So you actually forget that it's fake. Just the fact that it's there, it gets embedded in your brain. So the brain is not as great as discerning, you know, true and false as we might think.
And that's why it takes practice.
Absolutely, it does, because like anything, you know, once you get sucked in, and it does give you those dopamine hits, the truth is now, because like you, I'm a creator, I don't scroll, and I do very little searching on social media. I use social media, that's the point. I use social media, and I use it to deliver content that I believe is empowering and uplifting and inspiring to people. And I don't get used by social media.
And because of that, you don't need a detox.
In effect, the detoxes happen through the limits.
Yes. I love that. Thank you, Justin, for your insights once again. Remember that you can incorporate these tips into your daily routine to maintain a healthier balance between digital and offline life. The key is to find a balance that works for you. After the break, we're going to talk about indoor gardening as a hobby. We'll see you in a bit.